Hey everyone, it's Corey with Blue Falcon Board Gaming. If anyone's new to the channel here, I'm a United States Marine Corps veteran that started the Blue Falcon Board Gaming group in the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia tri-state area in the hopes of promoting board games as a way for others to improve their mental health, as well as to host and co-host different events in the community to make board games more accessible. Today, I'm joined by Nate Linhart. He is the designer of Tenpenny Parks. Nate, welcome.
Thank you so much, Corey, for having me on.
Absolutely. Do you care to just kind of go over, what's your individual story outside of board gaming? Who's Nate?
Yeah, so I live in the northwest suburbs of Chicago, grew up here my whole life. I'm a Bears fan, sports fanatic, and a board game lover. I work as a recruiter as my main job, where I help find different levels of jobs or engineers, marketing positions, admins, etc. And on the side, I love board games as one of my favorite hobbies, and started working on those as well as for the design process.
Awesome. So how did you get into playing board games? Not even designing yet, but just kind of what was your introduction into the hobby?
Yeah, in 2011, my friend had me over one day, and he said, "Want to play a board game?" I was like, you know what? I'm kind of tired of Monopoly and all those games. Well, he pulls out Settlers of Catan, and I instantly fell in love and opened my eyes to what board games can do, as Catan typically does as an intro game. And then from there, a few months later, I bought Ticket to Ride. And then I bought Puerto Rico and Small World, and I just got deep into the hobby at that point. Always loved playing games as a kid, and so that was kind of the big, falling into love of board games more.
Mm-hmm. And what kind of kept you in the hobby too? Like how, you said it was 2011, I think is what you'd said whenever you played. What's kept you in for over a decade now?
Yeah, I mean, having good friends to play with, as well as the hobby just getting increasingly more interesting over the years. So many great games come out, and new designs come out that really open people's eyes to new mechanics and everything, and introducing people to new themes. So just how much variety and how many more games come out a year nowadays is really keep things moving and interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So what was your path from playing games to designing games? How did you go about that?
Yeah, just one day, I decided I was sitting in my parents' basement, and I just randomly wanted to start working on a game to see what happens. The creative spark just kind of hit me out of the blue. And when I was thinking of what I wanted to do, I always loved theme parks, and I wanted there to be more theme park board games at the time. And Roller Coaster Tycoon was a big inspiration of mine. The computer game from about 20, 25 years ago, where you're building your own amusement park. So I just sat down, kind of paced around doing brainstorming, and started working on it just to see what would, go from there at that point.
Now, is there any little hidden gems or anything in the game that kind of go back to some of your nostalgia of theme parks or your love of theme parks? Is there any like hidden artwork, or is one of the rides one that you had growing up at a local theme park or anything?
Not necessarily. I loved going to Six Flags in Gurnee, Illinois. Lots of great rides there. And I went to Disney World as a kid. I went to Universal. So I got to experience all these really fun rides and everything. But none of the rides from the game are necessarily inspirations from that. I more so, like I said, I played Roller Coaster Tycoon a lot, and I tried to base a lot of the mechanics on creating a tabletop version of that. And some of the rides were partially even inspired by that game, such as the moon launch, where I remember in Roller Coaster Tycoon, there was a ride that just, rocketed up one direction, and that was it. And that's kind of like the basis idea of the ride in this game. So, yeah, that's kind of how that played out.
Gotcha. So for anyone who hasn't played Tenpenny Parks yet, what would be your elevator pitch to get them interested into it?
Yeah, I'd say if you're interested in a game where you're all uniquely building your own amusement park in just an hour of game time, or even on your first turn, you could build a giant, really cool roller coaster, and have this 1 hour length Euro feel experience that's simple to teach, but at the same time, there's enough little twists to the rules and the tile placement, especially, that cause a little bit more thinkiness than your typical games, and strategy as well. So just a fast game that's plays really strategic and tactical. And whoever's the winner of the game built their own really cool amusement park the best.
Yeah, one of the twists that I like in it is where it is a tile laying game once you're building your park, is that they can't be adjacent touching. Most tile laying games, you have to build adjacent to one that you've already placed or to the last one you've placed, and this one you don't. You actually can't build adjacent to it. Was there any specific purpose for that, or how did that mechanic rule come out?
Yeah, so when I started working on this game, it was like 6.5 years ago when this first, came into inspiration. And I always knew I wanted to have player boards, each building their own separate park, and it to be a grid. And the rides, shaped like different kind of Tetris shapes and everything at that point to build. I didn't try to make a twist on tile placement at all when I started working on it. I just figured the look of an amusement park in real life, rides are spread out, you need room for lines in between and everything. You could even say safety concern reasons, rides aren't right on top of each other. So I just thought aesthetically it looked nicer when people are placing their tiles and everything's all separated out and wasn't, like I said, adjacently right next to one each other. And then it, created that really different, unique puzzle, opposite of most other games with this tile placement rule or Tetris, where you're really trying to min-max your space and everything at that point, and you have to be really careful where you place things. And at the time, too, when I started working on this, polyomino games weren't really a big thing. I don't even think Patchwork was out at that point when I started working on it, or it just came out. And that would have been really the only one. So everyone's brains got really adapted to all the tiles fitting together perfectly and everything. So I wasn't even attempting to put like a twist on, the mechanic and everything, but it just kind of worked out that way, which I think is a really cool, differential factor of this game compared to the other ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I introduced it to my mother-in-law. We went down to Emerald Isle for vacation a couple months ago, and I brought a bunch of games with me and stuff. And usually my wife, she won't play games. She says she hates board games. She hates learning new board games.
Got it.
The ones that she knows how to play, she'll play. So Wingspan Parks, Tenpenny Parks, and King of Tokyo are the ones that I've taught her, and she'll play if like her mom wants to play or something. But
awesome.
It all went, and I'd played with the mother-in-law, and that was probably the heaviest game that she's played, and it's not a very heavy game at all. And that was like heavy for her, but she loved it. She absolutely had a
Oh, that is awesome to hear. I love hearing those stories.
Yeah, it was really fun. Is there any plans of any of expansions in the future, or any kind of little upgrade packs or anything? Maybe different rides, different tiles, different board layouts?
Nothing yet. I have some ideas that I'll, want to pitch to Thunderworks once I think they're more ready and fleshed out, and see what they say and go from there. At the moment, just kind of, seeing the full experience of how this game does in its first year and everything, and what people are saying, and, maybe base things, make the expansions based on the feedback and all that. But I do have some ideas in the work that I think are some good ones that'll hopefully be out at some point in the future, but nothing set at the moment.
Nice. Yeah, I'd actually got introduced to the game at Geekway this year. I was at the Geekway to the West convention. My one buddy Josh from Evil House Games, he kept talking about it. And he was actually on a volunteer shift, and he was working the library for the volunteer shift. And me and another guy went in there, and they had one copy of Tenpenny Parks left, so we grabbed it real quick. He was like, "Man, you guys are making me check this out for you." He's like, "This is the one I've been wanting to play." So me and the other guy played it, and then I think me and Josh eventually ended up playing. I know he at least played it. I don't remember if it was with me or not. But we both went and had bought it, and we left the convention with a copy of it.
That is so cool. See, I just love hearing stories like that. That makes this experience and this, year of this game coming out being so cool to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, kind of, what's that like? Because you're not a full time, professional board game designer. You said you worked as a recruiter and stuff. What's that like juggling your regular job and then also all of the response from the board game community?
Yeah, it's tough being able to do that. I'm quite busy at my normal job. And before that, I was in journalism as well. And I even took like 3 to 4 months off at one point in between jobs to work on Tenpenny Parks at the time to try and get it ready for the next upcoming Gen Con to really fully pitch it to people and everything. And yeah, you really got to dedicate your free time to designing and just sitting down, turning the TV off, doing research on other games out there or, things that are really hot right now that you could, base your game off of and, do your own research to design. It is a tricky process and everything to balance your, work life with all that.
Mm-hmm. So outside of Thunderworks, since you work with them, is there any other publishers that you pay close attention to or get excited about whenever they release a new product or announce a new product?
Well, I'm going to start off with Thunderworks, even though we want to talk about it, because I always want to promote them. I just love working with Keith and his wife, Claire. Thunderworks is just a great company and publisher, and I always just want to add that I'm very blessed to be part of their game lines. I always feel like they put out winners each year, too, and their production value is always off the charts with their games. Some other companies I really like and get into. AEG, I mean, they've definitely become increasingly popular over the years and putting out some really good stuff, too. I really like Serlin Games, which is not extremely popular, I feel like, nowadays, but one of my favorite board games all time is called Puzzle Strike, the 3rd edition of it. And they just put out Puzzle Strike 2, I know, recently, and I've been wanting to give that a try as well to see how it is. So I really like their stuff, too, because they base a lot of their games off, somewhat video game inspirations. And I like that when video games get translated into board games well.
Mm-hmm. So what 5 games right now are you kind of itching to get back to the table? So maybe they're not your top 5 games of all time, but you really want to get them back to the table and get a play of them, or maybe you've just heard about it or seen it and you want to try it out.
Yeah, top 5. I've been meaning to play Power Grid again. One of my friends, when he got Power Grid several years ago, he moved to California, and I really liked Power Grid. We were on a kick of that for a little while. Puzzle Strike is another one I haven't played in a long time. I used to play the app or online website version of it a lot because it plays really fast and it's good with 2 players, and that's my preferred count. But that's another one I would really like to play again. Haven't played Ticket to Ride in a while. That's a really good one. Been really interested in trying new games that I still haven't played yet. First Rat, I know Keith from Thunderworks, he's been talking about that one. That one seems like a lot of fun, too. So I've been really interested in that. Ready, Set, Bet seems like a good one, too, that just came out that I've also been really interested in trying as well.
Is the First Rats, is that the one where you're playing as the rats trying to get to the moon?
Yeah, that one. Okay. I feel nowadays, too, it's a really good idea to have animals as the main characters that you're playing of. I feel like if you have animals, the game's automatically a winner too. I feel if First Rat's theme was you're trying to get to the moon first, but you're just humans, I don't think it would have been as quirky and cool and stand out as much as it does. But it seems like just a really cool, fast, fun game, and that's one I've definitely been interested in trying.
Yeah, I've been on a big Luna Capital kick from DeVere Games, and it's a alternate, 1977. Okay, we've already been to the moon. That's not a big deal. We're trying to build condos on the moon and all these corporations on the moon and stuff. So it's a good little twist to it as well. Because like you said, if it was just like, oh, hey, we're going to the moon, it's kind of like whatever. But some of the corporations, you've got like Astro Burgers. It's just like a burger chain that you can play as.
I like it.
That you're trying to build on the moon and stuff. So that's good.
Well, with so many board games coming out now, it's, more themes that people haven't thought of yet are getting snatched up. And, now there's, when I started working on this theme for a theme park game, there was only theme park out at the time. Unfair didn't hit yet, and then Funfair, Meeple Land, and all those have come out over the years. So, it was kind of fresh to me, but, as I wait for it to get published and everything, once it gets signed, this long 6-year process, all these other theme park games. So you got to really kind of do slight twist on, popular themes and everything now to really try to stand out from the pack. But I think Tenpenny Parks really has done that well too, with Vincent Dutrait's artwork and having that really cool old-timey feel as well, where the rides, they're realistic rides and then they're not. The minecart ride, there's someone flying off to get to one ledge to the other. So little things like one, you're actually riding on a Kraken. So I love little things like that too. So I think Tenpenny's got a really cool, fantasy-ish, old-timey theme park look to it.
Yeah, I mean, the box cover definitely caught my attention and stuff whenever I was looking through Geekway and stuff. So it only plays over 5 rounds, and I always feel like I always wish that there was just one more round. I'm like, I got that one piece, but I needed a little bit more money to be able to get this other one. So how did you kind of decide on 5 rounds was enough? Because your rounds are relatively short. You 3 workers to play, so you're essentially doing 15 placements to build your park.
Well, Keith and I have very similar taste of games, I would say. And he likes the short, 45 to 75 minute Euro game that gives you a lot of depth and packs a punch in, that amount of time. And I like that time length as well. I like hour-long experience. I actually had it at 6 rounds in my version, but, of course, they get it. They improve things and everything. They streamline certain aspects. My version was actually the big change that they made of all the changes was I had more of a little bit of an open-ended action selection system. And, Keith and the developer, they made it worker placement more to keep track of actions and everything, which made the game flow smoother. And I think they found and everything too that 5 months was a good stopping point. You can always house rule if you want the 6 months, but I think the game's just tight enough at that point to have, that moments where you're getting close and that limited actions and just barely getting to do what you want or just barely missing the last little thing you needed to, hit one of the thresholds. So I think it was a really good landing point to keep it at that, hour-long Euro experience too. So if people have said the same thing. Some people really like that it's the 5 round corn and how fast it plays. And some people, the opposite of what most people say in board games, that it's too short this time. But I think it's the really, really good length of where it's at to give you that just enough tightness in certain aspects.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how to answer it other than that. That's kind of went around the bush, but
no, I just didn't know if you had went into it saying, "Hey, I want it to be 5," if that's something that came out in the publishing of it and everything. That's why I like interviewing with designers and stuff, is to try to learn some of the stuff that happened behind the scenes with it. Whenever I was talking with Sean Fletcher from the Op, he was talking about how on Disney Sorcerer Arena, his initial 8 characters, he didn't include Mickey. And Disney came back and was like, "Hey, we need the mouth in here."
Yeah.
So it's like, if you'd never know that without talking to the designer or anything, that Mickey wasn't in the original 8 or anything.
That's really
I just like knowing stuff behind the scenes with the games.
Yeah, so that was definitely the big change they made, was making it that worker placement, instead of the kind of, like I said, open-ended sandboxy action selection system that I had. The change was great to make the game just flow really smooth and play quickly.
Mhm. So what's the board game scene like in Chicago? There is there a lot of game shops or board game cafes or anything in your area?
Yeah, there's some good ones around here. I'm about 45 minutes out from the city, so I don't go to the city too often. I did just go to Snakes and Lattes in Chicago a couple of weeks ago, which is a board game cafe, and that was a lot of fun to go there and see, experience their area in the city again. And there's some bars around here that play games and everything too. There's a bar out here. There's an organization called Toggle Gaming that just started a Tuesday night board gaming, and they've been doing it for many years. They shut down for over a year because of COVID, and then they've come back, and I've been doing that every Tuesday and been meeting new people there, testing Tenpenny with people, and just playing games and having fun. So there's a lot of good people out here for the board gaming scene. I think there's several other designers in this area as well. I believe the people that made Canvas are somewhere in this realm that I am. And then Bigfoot Roll and Smash, which is a new game from XYZ Game Labs. They're the two designers are the ones that run this Toggle board game that I go to on Tuesdays as well, and it's been great meeting and connecting with them too.
Yeah. Yeah, we're trying to get more stuff in our community here. There's a few game stores and stuff. There's a bookstore, Cicada Books and Coffee. They do a board game night every Friday night, and it's starting to grow. Last week they had like 14 people there, which was huge because it's typically like 6 to 7 of us would show up. So word's getting out. We've been doing events with a local convention through the university, through Marshall University. They do a herd con every year, and we've been doing some student events with them throughout the semesters. So we're trying to get more stuff going in general.
Very cool, yeah.
So as a designer, and with us trying to do those events and everything, what would you tell people? Oh, this is why you should try out board games, or this is why you would want to give it a shot. Why do you think playing games are good?
Yeah, it's just a fun pastime. You get to meet, connect with new people, just have a fun time, getting to experience a new game. Like I said, there's just a lot of games that come out every year now, a lot of new mechanics and everything. So it's really cool to see how board games have evolved over time. And, like I said, sit down with some friends, have some drinks, connect, and turn off the phones and technology and play a game once in a while.
Unless it's app assisted.
Yeah.
Then you got to leave the phone off.
Yeah, and those are becoming increasingly popular too, which is good for the hobby in a lot of ways as well.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, is there anything that you want to plug before we wrap up here? Is there, do you have your own Twitter or anything that you want to push out there?
Yeah, I have a Twitter. I don't really use it much. I'll just retweet when I scour the internet who tag Tenpenny or something. I'm, on my social media more socially, less for games and everything like that. But if you Google my name on any of the social media sites, you'll be able to find it. But I'll plug, Thunderworks Games, their website and everything. Plug in Dawn of Ulos, which is out right now on Kickstarter, Thunderworks' big title. And that is definitely something people should look into as well. That's pretty much the main things.
Yeah, I just actually finished up uploading my interview with Jason.
Oh, Jason, yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, I had him at 3 and then you at 5. It was cool with him too. I'm like, this is my first international, interview because of where he's in Sweden.
Oh, so, that's right. I forgot where he was located. Very cool.
Yeah, he said he had moved over there for, video game design and stuff. That's what he primarily does.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, I've never connected with him, but hopefully he'll be at the States maybe someday for a convention and I can, get to meet him as well. It's always really cool, like I said, getting to meet all these designers and publishers as a result of this year, and just really cool, going through social media and seeing people from all over the world, tweet about your game, even if it's even if it's negative or, constructive criticism. It's been a really surreal year for sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, Nate, I appreciate you joining in, giving us your time to talk about the game and talk about yourself and just board games. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much, Corey, for having me. I really appreciate it as well. I hope you and I can meet sometime in the future as well and, pull out a game at a convention together.
Are you going to Sin City Con?
No, I typically just keep it to Gen Con or the more local things around here, or I'll go to, Proto Spiels and everything too. So
Gotcha. I was going to say Sin City Con's coming up in October.
So where do you live?
In the Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia tri-state, like right where all three of those states touch.
So do you go to Gen Con or?
Yeah, we went to Gen Con this year. I did Gen Con, Origins, Geekway, CharCon, it's a local one, and then HerdCon, that's a local one.
Very cool. Well, hopefully one of them will meet sometime.
Yep. You have a good one.
Thanks, you too. Bye.